Hey, so I just left the gym, and on my way home, the Lord was speaking to me, and I wanted to share. Don't allow yourself to be appointed or put into position before the appointed time. Meaning, don't allow yourself to be put into a position prematurely because a man sees the call, and just because they see the call doesn't mean that you're ready for the position. I hope that makes sense. David was 17 years old when God used Samuel to anoint him to be king. But David did not become king until he was 30 years old. Because God had to use time to mature David to be able to sit in the seat and the office as a king. I pray that makes sense to you. And so let's dive a little bit deeper into it. So when God told Samuel to go to Jesse's house because one of his sons would be king, God had already chosen David and anointed David and marked David in the spirit. Samuel being God's prophet only solidified in the natural what God had already done in the spirit. So just because somebody sees what God has put on you in the spirit, just because somebody sees that God has marked you, gifted you, and anointed you and called you for this position or whatever, does not mean that at the point of their recollection or revelation, it doesn't mean that you are meant to be put in that position immediately. Because you may not be ready for it. And it also goes back to trusting God's timing. Because 17-year-old David could not handle the weight of a kingdom. 17-year-old David could not handle the weight of governing and being king over the people of Israel. David could not handle that at 17. David couldn't even handle it at 25. He couldn't handle it at 29. That's why God didn't allow him to actually become king until he was 30 years old. So don't allow yourself to be appointed or put into position before time has come for you to be put in that position. I pray that I'm making sense. Okay, I'm a little tired. But man is so quick to do things, so much so that we don't wait on the instruction or the timing of God to unfold. So there are just some things in your life that you're literally just going to have to wait on. You're going to have to wait until time unfolds. You're going to have to allow God to use time to bring you into full maturity so that you can steward those things well, so that you will have the wisdom and the wherewithal to be able to sit or be or govern or reign where God is calling you or has called you to reign. You may have even known this particular thing since you was 5 years old. But it doesn't mean that immediately at the recollection or the revelation of this said thing doesn't mean that you are supposed to ascend to that position. Because God knew that Esther would be queen when she was born. Before she was formed in her mother's womb, God knew who she was going to be. But it doesn't mean that baby Esther should have been queen. Hey, like I said, I'm a little sleepy. I really pray that I'm making sense. I think that I am. But yeah, like we love to rush God. And I'm in a season where I'm just like, God, there was so many things that I prayed for very, very early on in my salvation. And a few years' time, when they did not come to fruition, I was heartbroken and I had hope deferred. And my heart was sick to the point where I had no faith. And my relationship with the Lord was depleted. Until the Lord had to literally almost strong arm me and say, look at the prayers that you prayed years ago and look where you are now. He said, Elliot, you are in promises now. Promises have manifested now. So the thing about it is, God said what he said. He said what he said. He said what he said, and he did what he did. But now we have to allow the timing of the Lord. So trust the timing of the Lord. And thank God that He's not going to allow a 17-year-old you to be in a position that only a 30-year-old you can handle. Be grateful that in all of His wisdom and love, that He is going to allow time to mature you and bring you into the fullness of who you are supposed to be, so that when you get to your promised place or your position of destiny, that you will do it as a son or a daughter of the kingdom is supposed to do it, and be effective at it. God is too intelligent. We be wanting God to make dumb decisions off of our temporary emotions. And God, His mind created the universe from a thought. He's too intelligent to make dumb decisions about our life. We are too valuable to Him. All right, I love y'all. I gotta go to bed. But yeah, I just pray that speaks to you. God is too intelligent, and we're too valuable to Him for Him to be making mistakes like that, because God is a father. If you're not ready, you're not ready. It's still yours. I still made it for you. I still called you to it. You are still anointed for it. But until the fullness of time has come and I have done a work in you, so that you have the wisdom, the backbone, the wherewithal to be able to do this effectively, I cannot bring you into the fullness of it until I've done and built what I need to build in you. I'm not going to throw you out into the woods and you don't know how to fight. I'm not going to throw you out into the wilderness and you don't know how to survive. I'm not that kind of God. I have to do a work in you so that when the time comes, you can do what you need to do, as I've called.